I was standing outside Cole's office, suit jacket over my arm, briefcase in hand, heart pounding like I was about to propose to someone instead of pitch a damn business. Inside that briefcase was a signed partnership agreement with both our names, a final print of the pitch deck, and mock-up business cards we'd unveil at the mixer that night. We talked for months about this. I thought we were finally doing it. Then I heard laughing. Not just laughing. Laughing at me. Cole's door wasn't shut all the way, just enough for the voices to leak out. I leaned slightly closer when I heard Tyler's name. Tyler was Cole's old buddy from back in high school. Guy was always around but never really contributed anything useful. Just tagged along and tossed opinions no one asked for. "You really gonna do it up there?" Tyler asked, chuckling. Cole snorted. "Oh, I'm gonna crush him. He's gonna pull out the agreement and everything thinking I'm in." Then boom, I pass. On stage. In front of everyone. They both burst out laughing. I stood frozen. "He's gonna beg, man. Watch," Cole said, voice dripping with glee. "He'll be like, 'But we talked about this.' And I'll just say I changed my mind." "You're cold as hell, bro," Tyler said. "This is some prank show stuff." My fingers clenched the briefcase handle. I felt it through my whole body. Shock, then heat, then this hollow churn in my gut like I might puke. I'd worked on that pitch deck for 3 damn months. Poured in savings, pulled late nights, skipped weekends. I thought we were building something together. I thought we were partners. Nope, I was the punchline. I stepped back, quietly, didn't knock, didn't say anything. I didn't trust my voice not to crack or explode. I just walked, brisk, like I had somewhere else to be, even though I had nowhere to go but the car. I passed the receptionist, muttered something about forgetting my phone, and hit the parking lot without looking back. In the car, I sat there gripping the wheel, staring at my own reflection in the rearview. All I saw was a fool. The cards, the contract, the plan, it all meant nothing. Cole never intended to be part of this. He wanted to humiliate me. He wanted an audience. I didn't even turn the ignition right away. Just sat there, sweating through my shirt, trying not to scream. Then I started driving. Not to the event. Just away. I didn't even realize where I was driving until I pulled into my apartment complex and just sat there with the engine running. My hands were still wrapped tight around the steering wheel, like I couldn't trust myself to move. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't check it. I already knew who it was. I wasn't ready to hear more lies. Not yet. It's crazy how fast something can flip. Just a few hours earlier, I'd felt proud, confident. I really believed this business was our shot. Me and Cole. That wasn't some overnight idea either. We'd been tossing around startup plans since college. Senior year, we were the 2 guys sitting in the back of entrepreneurship lectures, whispering jokes about being our own bosses and never working for anyone else again. After graduation, we kept in touch. Bounced around some gigs, mostly freelance stuff. I got into marketing and copywriting. Cole was dabbling in web builds and sales funnels. We always said when the time was right, we'd build something real. Something ours. I was the one who kept pushing that dream forward, honestly. He had ideas, sure, but I was the one turning those ideas into outlines and task lists. Still, I never minded. I liked that dynamic. He'd bring the energy and I'd give it structure. It worked. When his girlfriend left him, some long, messy breakup, I was the one who sat with him for hours at the bar, listening to him ramble about how no one really saw his potential. When he got laid off twice in 1 year, I helped him redo his resume and lined up side work through some of my contacts. And when my dad landed in the hospital last year with a collapsed lung, Cole was the one texting every day. He even showed up at the hospital once with 2 coffees and sat with me for half an hour, just talking about normal stuff like fantasy football and dumb internet memes. Kept me sane. I won't lie, he showed up when it counted. So yeah, when I told him a few months ago I was finally ready to launch the firm, I meant it. And I meant it for both of us. A digital marketing shop built on real strategy, SEO, copy, branding, full campaigns. Lean team, flexible clients, remote first. It had teeth. He sounded pumped when I brought him in. Right away, he started throwing ideas around. He came up with a couple names we batted around, started talking about pricing tiers and revenue models. He even put me in touch with his cousin who worked freelance design, ended up doing a few mock logos for us. Honestly, it felt real. Looking back now, there were cracks. Small ones. He'd flake on follow-ups, said he forgot or got sidetracked. He missed a Zoom call with his cousin and said he thought it was just a maybe. Once, I sent him a draft of the company bio to post on our placeholder site, and he responded 3 days later with "looks solid." Nothing else. I asked him once, "Hey man, are you still in on this?" Like in. He laughed it off. Said, "Of course, dude. Chill. I'm just not a type A psycho like you." I laughed too. I told myself he just moved slower. Needed space. Not everyone's as obsessive as I am when I get locked onto something. But it wasn't just flakiness. There were moments I brought up serious stuff like partnership splits, legal structure, early budgeting, and he'd kind of shrug it off. Say things like, "We'll figure that out later," or "Don't worry about all that yet." It didn't feel malicious, just immature or hesitant, like maybe the idea of actually committing scared him. I gave him room. I figured if I just showed him the plan, gave him something concrete, he'd settle in, get serious. So I kept building. When I finally pulled together the first full pitch deck, I was proud. It looked clean. The numbers made sense. I had case studies, market research, even early budget projections for year one. And I made sure the deck told our story, how we'd started, where we'd been, and where we could go if we actually followed through. I told myself I'd present it to him in person. Make it official. A real launch moment. And I really thought he'd say yes. I spent the next few weeks living like I was already running the business full-time, even though I wasn't making a dime yet. I'd clock out of my regular job at 5, eat something fast, and then stay up half the night building the pitch deck. Saturdays were for research. Sundays were for refining case studies and emailing potential contractors. The deeper I got, the more real it felt. I wasn't just daydreaming anymore. I was bleeding time and money into this. I'd already used half my emergency savings on design work, early legal fees, and software. I told myself it was fine. I believed in the plan. Then I found out about this elite startup mixer happening at a beachside resort in Cannon Beach. Invite only, tight guest list, real investor presence. I didn't even blink. I bought 2 tickets, paid extra for VIP access and a private pitch block. I figured Cole would be hyped. I messaged him the second I confirmed it. He replied, "Let's go." Nothing else. No questions. Just that. Couple days later, he looped in Tyler. Said he might be able to help shape the pitch for Real Money Eyes. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I went with it. Tyler and I set up a Zoom. From the start, he acted like he was doing us a favor just by listening. "I know a guy who got seed funding after 10 minutes at this event," he said. "But you gotta tell a story. Investors don't care about numbers right away. They want a narrative." He kept using that word, narrative, like he was some brand guru. Then he said we should lean into the friendship angle. Sell it like a 2-man dream. Built from dorm room brainstorms, carried through life, now coming alive. "That shit plays," he said. I didn't hate the idea. It was our story. Or at least I thought it was. He sent a few notes over email. Some of it was garbage. But one line stuck. "You're not just selling a service, you're selling you too." So I leaned into it. I redesigned the first few slides of the deck around that. Added a picture of me and Cole from college. One where we're at a coffee shop with laptops out, grinning like idiots. Changed the tagline to, "From dorm room to digital domination." Cheesy, sure, but clean. I printed 6 full-color pitch packets and had them spiral-bound. Made a digital version too with clickable links and live pricing breakdowns. I even paid for an hour with a lawyer to make sure the equity split agreement was clean 50-50, with provisions for sweat equity and buyout terms. Cole never asked to see it. I sent him the outline and asked if he had feedback. He said, "Looks good. Trust you." I wasn't sure if that meant he didn't care or actually trusted me. But again, I let it slide. I was too deep to stop now. I ordered 2 sets of business cards. White, matte finish, navy blue text. Same logo. Mine said, "Founder and Strategy Lead." His said, "Co-founder and Partnerships." I thought they looked sharp. The plan was to meet him the night before the mixer and go over the final details. We'd stay at the resort, do some light networking over dinner, then pitch the next day during our assigned block. So I went to his office early, maybe around 4. I figured I'd surprise him with the printed deck and a copy of the partnership agreement. Make it feel official. Maybe even grab a drink after. But instead, I walked into that hallway and heard them laughing. Cole and Tyler, behind the door, talking about me like I was some clueless loser, like the whole thing was a bit. They weren't even trying to be quiet. That's when it hit me. None of it was real. Not the feedback. Not the trust. Not even the damn business cards. They didn't see a partnership. They saw a show. And I was the idiot who built the whole stage for them. I turned around and walked straight out of that building, the briefcase still in my hand, my face burning like I'd been slapped in public. I didn't even hit the elevator. I took the stairs 2 at a time, like if I didn't move fast enough, I'd snap. I got in the car and gripped the steering wheel with both hands. My knuckles went white. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might throw up right there in the lot. I didn't cry. Not then. I was too pissed. Too stunned. I drove home without turning on the radio. Just the sound of the engine and my own breathing, tight and shallow. I barely remembered the drive. When I pulled into the garage, I sat there again, staring at the windshield like it could give me answers. The briefcase sat on the passenger seat like a damn prop in a skit I didn't know I was in. I went inside, dropped the bag on the kitchen counter, and opened it. The mock-up business cards were still warm from the printer shop, sealed in a plastic sleeve. I ripped them open and dumped them on the table. 2 stacks. My name. His name. Same logo, same branding I thought we'd built together. Looked legit. Looked like the start of something real. I grabbed the partnership agreement and flipped through it, reading our names on every page like it was written in a different language now. None of it meant shit. I stood there, staring at the mess on the counter, and something inside me just broke. Not in a quiet, sad way. In a loud, brutal way that made me want to scream into the walls. Instead, I grabbed the nearest stack of cards and shoved them in the trash. Not all of them. Just one stack, his. I left mine sitting on the table. I don't know why. Maybe I still wanted to believe I hadn't imagined the whole thing. Maybe I wanted proof that I had shown up. At 6 o'clock sharp, my phone buzzed. Cole, yo, you en route? I stared at the screen. I didn't answer. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I locked the phone instead. 15 minutes later, another text. Cole, just checking. Should we meet in the lounge or outside the ballroom? Then another. Cole, let me know, we're almost up. Then a call. I let it ring. Another text. Cole, dude, what's going on? Call again. I tossed the phone on the couch and walked away. I paced the living room, heart hammering. My head kept switching tracks, go anyway. Burn it down on stage. Expose him. Make him squirm. Then back to no, screw that. They want a show. Don't give it to them. I looked at myself in the hallway mirror and didn't even recognize my own face. My jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. My eyes looked hollow. I walked back to the kitchen, looked at the deck, the agreement, the leftover cards, picked up one of his, turned it over, then dropped it into the trash with the rest. The phone buzzed again from the couch. I didn't check it. I sat on the floor, my back against the cabinet, knees up, palms pressed to my forehead. Every time I pictured walking into that mixer, I didn't see a pitch. I saw Cole grinning while I talked, Tyler laughing behind someone's drink. Maybe even a few people in the audience catching on that it was all a setup. And me up there, too slow to realize I'd been played. No way in hell was I handing them the reaction they wanted. The buzzing didn't stop. Every 10, 15 minutes, Cole's name lit up my phone again. Text, then call, then voicemail. I didn't open any of them. I just let them pile up. I stayed on the kitchen floor for what felt like hours. Phone face down on the rug, screen lighting up like a fire alarm I refused to acknowledge. The more he messaged, the more frantic it got. Cole, dude, you good? Cole, what the hell, we're literally on deck in 20. Cole, are you seriously doing this right now? We've got people expecting us. Cole, don't screw me over, man. This is bigger than you. Then a voicemail I didn't even bother listening to. I went to the sink, splashed cold water on my face, tried to breathe through the tightness in my chest. Rage and shame were fighting for top billing, and both were winning. By 9:30, I figured it was over. Mixer done. Pitch missed. My phone rang again, this time with Tyler's name on it. I almost let it ring out, but something in me snapped. I picked up. "Hello." "Hey man," he said, like he was checking in after a dentist appointment. "Just wanted to see where you ended up. Everything okay?" I stared at the fridge like I could punch straight through it. "Don't play dumb, Tyler." "What?" "No, I'm serious." "Cole's freaking out." "I heard you." He went silent. I didn't let up. "I was outside the office yesterday. Heard every word. The jokes. The plan. All of it." He cleared his throat. "Wait, what do you mean, plan?" "We were just talking, man. You must have misunderstood." "Cut the shit," I snapped. "You said you couldn't wait to watch me flail on stage. You called it a prank show. Don't act surprised now." Another pause. "Okay, hold up. You're taking this way too seriously. We were just messing around. That's how we joke." I laughed. It wasn't funny, but it came out anyway, cold and sharp. "Right? Just jokes. That's your excuse." He got defensive fast. "Look, I don't know what you thought you heard, but Cole was nervous, all right? He wasn't trying to screw you. We've all been stressed, and sometimes people blow off steam." I grabbed one of the discarded business cards off the table and held it in my hand like evidence. "You sat there, laughing about how I'd beg, like I was some idiot with a mic in his hand, begging to be taken seriously." He didn't respond. "Tell Cole I'm not showing up to be anyone's punchline," I said. "If he's so stressed, maybe he shouldn't have treated this like a goddamn joke." "Dude, you're blowing this out of proportion." "No," I cut in. "You and Cole spent weeks pretending to be invested, feeding me advice, asking for deck drafts, just so you could get a front row seat when I fell on my face. Come on, man. I'm done." My voice was flat now. "Don't call me again." I hung up and dropped the phone on the table like it burned. A second later, it buzzed again, Cole this time. I didn't answer. I knew exactly what that call would sound like. He'd start off acting confused, maybe even a little hurt. Then he'd pivot to blaming me. Then maybe, if I stayed quiet long enough, he'd land on something like, "It wasn't that deep. Screw that." I shut off my phone and walked out to the porch. The night air was cool still. I sat down on the steps and stared out at the street, fists clenched in my hoodie pocket. They'd planned to humiliate me, smiled in my face, sold me on this partnership dream, and waited for the perfect moment to make me look pathetic in front of real investors. But I didn't give them that moment. And that, more than anything, was the only win I had left. I was still sitting on the porch steps when the phone lit up again. This time I picked it up without thinking. "Cole." I hit answer and held it to my ear, saying nothing. He jumped in like he'd been rehearsing. "Dude, finally. What the hell is going on? Are you okay?" I didn't play along. "I heard you." Silence. "I was outside your office yesterday. I heard everything. You and Tyler laughing about how I'd react when you turned me down, about how I'd look crushed. You said I'd probably beg." His voice cracked a little, fake or real, I couldn't tell. "Wait, hold on. That's not how it was. You're misunderstanding. Don't lie to me." I stood up from the steps, walked back inside, started pacing. My chest was tight again, but not from panic this time. This was heat. I heard the whole damn conversation. You thought it was funny. You planned to screw me over on stage. You thought I'd fall apart in front of people I respected. He let out this long exhale like he wanted to sound exhausted, but it just came off forced. "Okay, look, that got out of hand. We were just talking shit. It was nerves, joking around." "You weren't joking," I said sharp. "You were mocking me. We didn't mean it like that. Tyler pushes things too far sometimes. You know how he is." I didn't let him pivot. "Did you ever actually plan to start this business with me? Or was the whole thing just for laughs?" He didn't answer right away. "Answer me." "I don't know, man," he said finally. It wasn't that black and white. I liked the idea. It just felt like a lot. You were moving so fast, and I wasn't sure I was ready. That's not what this is about. You could have said no at any point. You didn't have to pretend. You didn't have to ask for drafts or let me buy tickets or let me spend months building this like we were partners. He went quiet again. You let me prep a full launch, I said. You watched me drain my savings. You watched me order business cards with your name on them. And you knew the whole time you weren't showing up. Look, I didn't think you'd take it that seriously. I laughed. You signed the agreement. It wasn't official. It was to me. My voice shook now, more from fury than anything else. You let me believe it was real. You let me walk into that mixer blind, thinking I had someone next to me. And your plan was to humiliate me in front of a room full of investors. I wasn't gonna humiliate you. That's not fair. You were gonna say no on stage. That was a joke, he snapped, finally dropping the nice guy tone. Tyler was messing around. I never said I'd actually do that. You laughed. Because I didn't think you'd hear it. I stopped pacing. Just stood there, staring at the floor. He kept going. Man, you've always taken this stuff too seriously. You get locked in and you don't leave room for anything else. It's suffocating. I didn't know how to back out without pissing you off. So instead, you planned to humiliate me? I didn't plan anything. You're blowing this up. Stop. He shut up. I'm not salvaging this. Not the business. Not the friendship. I'm done. Dude, come on. We've been through. No, I picked up one of the remaining business cards. Mine this time and snapped it in half. You made your choice. Live with it. He didn't respond. I waited a second. Nothing. Then I hung up. The second I hung up, I put my phone on airplane mode and left it that way for 3 days. No calls. No texts. No fake apologies. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not right away. I needed to clear the wreckage first. I opened my laptop and deleted everything. Pitch decks, contracts, brand mock-ups, old call notes. Gone. Then I logged into the placeholder site we'd been building and shut that down too. Pulled the domain. Disconnected the social handles. Scrubbed every trace of what we'd planned. It was like burning down a house before it ever had a chance to get finished. A couple people started reaching out. Mutual friends, old classmates who'd heard we were launching something big. I dodged the questions. Said we hit a delay. Said we weren't moving forward. I didn't give them anything else. One of our closer mutuals, Josh, called and said Cole had been devastated when I pulled out. He said you just ghosted him, Josh told me. Didn't even explain. He thinks you overreacted to some dumb joke. That word again, joke. Like months of lies could be passed off as a punchline. I didn't bite. I just said, yeah, well, we had different ideas about the business. Josh paused, then said, he said you were under a lot of pressure lately. Thought maybe it got to you. I laughed through my nose. Maybe. I let people believe whatever they wanted. I wasn't gonna walk around trying to convince anyone of anything. If they needed me to tell them Cole was full of shit, they probably weren't worth keeping around either. I shifted gears and started digging for solo consulting gigs again. Smaller stuff, copy audits, SEO rewrites, brand strategy sessions. The kind of work that kept my name moving and my brain busy. It felt weird starting over after how close I'd gotten to launching something bigger. But at least it was mine. No fake co-founders. No planted betrayals. One morning, I checked my backup work Instagram and saw Cole had posted a story with a black screen and white text. Some people fold under pressure. Not me. Passive-aggressive as hell. I almost laughed. I didn't reply. Didn't even screenshot it. Just let it pass. That was the kind of guy he'd always been. Masking cowardice with fake confidence. Pretending to be unbothered while throwing jabs from behind a screen. The truth was, I could have dropped everything on blast. I had receipts. I could have shared the story, the audio files, the timeline, the texts. But I didn't need revenge. I just wanted distance. So I kept my head down and stayed quiet. Let him play whatever version of the story he needed to play to feel better about himself. I was done helping him look good. It was a random Tuesday when the screenshots hit my inbox. one of my old design contacts, someone who'd done freelance branding work for us during the early planning, forwarded them with a short message. Thought you'd want to see this. It's from a Slack thread Tyler forgot I was in. I opened the images and sat there, jaw clenched tighter with every scroll. Tyler was bragging. Full-on chest-puffing digital ego dump. We told him to pitch it like it was his dream. He really thought it was going to be a co-founder thing. Cole said he'd crush the pitch after letting him talk first. Classic switch-up. There were laughing emojis, thumbs-ups, people reacting like it was some kind of frat boy prank. Then I hit the part that made my skin go cold. Cole never wanted to build that company. He just needed a look at the back-end model and how my name was planning to structure it. We're tweaking it for our version. I sat back in my chair, the screen still glowing. They hadn't just mocked me, they mined me, used my time, my research, my pitch deck structure, all as prep work for their launch. I opened a new tab and started digging. It didn't take long. 2 weeks after the mixer, Cole and Tyler had pitched a new startup. Different name, but the same core idea. Lean digital campaigns, remote-first model, targeting mid-sized regional clients. I recognized half the phrasing from my own deck. But here's the kicker, it bombed. A startup blog had covered the event. Buried halfway through the article was a one-line mention. 2 local founders presented a digital firm concept that failed to gain traction. Investors left before the Q&A. They didn't even get a full write-up. I should have felt satisfied. I should have celebrated the fact that they flopped. But what I felt was something uglier, heavier, disgust. Not even because they stole from me. I'd expected that deep down. What really hit me was how deliberate it all was. There was planning. There were conversations. There were threads and inside jokes and emojis used to mock the hours I'd spent trying to build something I believed in. And this wasn't some high school spat. We were grown, late 20s, past the age where people pull this kind of petty, calculated crap. Cole hadn't just flaked. He'd lied, performed, and smiled through every step of it. Introduced me to Tyler, told me to pitch it like our shared dream, signed his name on contracts he never meant to honor. He let me stand on the edge of something real just so he could steal the blueprint. It made my stomach turn. I closed my laptop and sat there in silence. I didn't reply to the message from my designer friend. What was I supposed to say? Thanks for confirming my worst fear? The pitch didn't matter anymore. The failed launch didn't matter either. What gutted me was knowing that friendship, over a decade of it, was hollow, fake from the inside out. All those nights I'd spent talking about the future with Cole, all the trust I'd built around him, every favor, every ride, every beer. Just a memory I now had to throw out with the rest of the garbage. They didn't beat me. That part mattered. But it didn't feel like a win. It felt like someone had taken a knife to a photo I used to keep in my wallet. And the worst part? I still remembered why I trusted him in the first place. I didn't reply to the screenshots, didn't post about it, didn't call anyone. I just took a breath, closed the laptop, and got back to work. A year later, I launched my own firm. Just me, no co-founders, no dead weight. No second-guessing if someone was in it for real or just along for the ride. First few months were rough as hell. I picked up whatever work I could get. Local restaurant needing a brand refresh. A yoga studio with a broken SEO setup. A buddy's cousin who ran a landscaping business and didn't know what a headline tag was. I said yes to everything. I worked late, took calls I didn't want, missed weekends, but it paid off. Eventually I landed a long-term client, an e-com shop out of Texas looking for full campaign support. Then another from Chicago. Then one in Florida who referred 2 more. I kept my overhead tight, my hours packed, and my circle small. Nobody else touched my proposals. I didn't run ideas by friends. I didn't loop in collaborators who wanted equity before they'd even put in hours. Everything had my name on it, and if it failed, at least I'd know who to blame. I don't keep business cards anymore. I watch people closer now, how they show up, how they follow through. Words are cheap. Smiles even cheaper. But who picks up the phone when things get messy? That's what counts. I don't ignore jokes anymore either. That's one thing I learned the hard way. Jokes reveal more than people think. People love hiding truth behind a smirk. Now when I hear something sideways, I don't laugh it off. I remember it. Cole and Tyler faded out of everything. Our mutuals stopped bringing them up. Nobody knew what they were working on, if anything. A few old contacts said they'd been quiet or kinda dropped off. I didn't ask for details, didn't care, and they never reached out again. Sometimes I think about that day in the hallway. That one conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. If I'd been 10 seconds slower, or if the door had been fully shut, I might have gone on stage with him. Might have pitched my heart out in front of a crowd that already knew the punchline. I would have smiled through it, handed him the mic, laughed when he changed his mind, tried to save face while the room watched me fall apart. That one overheard moment that saved me. It stung, cracked something in me open, but it saved me, and now I'm good.